I'm so glad you've chosen to join us for part 9 of My Media Museum's 45 RPM vinyl records mixed box number 11. And here we've got Dave Loggins with Please Come to Boston for the Springtime. And when she won't go for that, he asked her to come to Denver with snowfall. So this is a great song. I don't know of anything else Dave Loggins did. I'm not sure if he was a one-hit wonder or what, but this is a really great song that I personally loved back from 1974. The B-side being a song called Let Me Go Now. So, not a song I'm familiar with, but definitely love the other one. So, in the previous episode, I don't think it was the last one, I think it was one before that, where I showed this Styx Lady, and I was a little confused by it being on the RCA label, because I was pretty sure that Styx was on A&M after leaving Wooden Nickel. So I had to go back and look at the CDs. Well, here's the Styx Wooden Nickel Anthology Collection CD that I got a few years back. And it's a reissued on Hippo. But when I was talking about that plexiglass toilet, it was as bad as this. It's an unlisted track at the end of side 1 off of Serpent is Rising, which I do have on vinyl. So if anyone was scratching their heads about that comment, that's where that came from. But yeah, the next album that Styx did, the 5th album, was indeed A&M. It was Equinox on A&M Records. So they did 4 albums on Wooden Nickel, and then switched over to A&M and started off with Equinox. Now, what I'm guessing is that this is a situation where RCA licensed the Wooden Nickel catalog. And that's why this re-release was done on RCA as opposed to A&M. And like I said, I do have this on Wooden Nickel. I believe I've got an original copy and a reissue off of Wooden Nickel. So anyways, I just wanted to clear that up because I myself was a little confused. And if you've got this one, Styx Lady, this was simply a compilation of some of the Wooden Nickel material. But there again, it's from BMG marketing. So we've got a number of different companies that have distributed Styx material over the years, especially that early Wooden Nickel stuff. So I just want to take a quick second to go over that, clarify some confusion for myself as well as the rest of us. Next up, we've got an A&M Records with the sleeve that matches, which is always nice. And it's a Forget-Me-Not, so it's clearly a reissued. Cat Stevens, Hey Baby Baby, It's a Wild World, off of his Tea for the Tillerman, which is probably his biggest, most popular album. That's the one that I'm most familiar with from him. And the B-side of this, Forget-Me-Not, has got another one of his hits, Moon Shadow, Moon Shadow. I can't sing that one so well, but it's off of Taser and the Firecat, so that's off of a different album. There again, A&M, quite so frequently when you're seeing A&M 45s, you've got songs off of 2 different albums because they like to do that. Even on the regular releases, not just a Forget-Me-Not, which is common. When you've got reissues, it's very common for them to pull 2 A-sides, 2 hits, and put them back to back. But they did it on the regular releases as well. And you're familiar with that. If you've been on the channel and watching all my videos, we've covered that numerous times. Billy Joel, I love you just the way you are. Billy Joel's another one of those. Did a lot of great work in the 70s and some good stuff in the 80s. He falls into that Steve Miller, Elton John category for me, where the man's got a ton of material that I absolutely love, but it's all from decades ago. And this is a really good song of his that I do enjoy. And the B-side is a song called Get It Right the First Time. And That one was taken from The Stranger, and so was this one. So both of those songs apparently came off of that Stranger album. And I do have 2 copies of that one. No real reason to show you the second one other than because Get It Right the First Time is still the B-side. There's nothing different between those 2 copies. So it's just there in the stack. And Arista with the Bay City Rollers. I only want to be with you. Now that song was done a lot of times. I think Little Eva did it originally, but I wouldn't swear by that. But I know it's not an original Bay City Rollers song. In fact, I didn't even know the Bay City Rollers did a cover of that one back in 1976. But it's a very well-known song, usually done by a female artist. But there's a version of it there from Bay City Rollers, which, as I'm sure you're aware, is most popular, most well known, let's say, for Saturday Night. Saturday, Saturday Night. Saturday Night. And the B-side of this one, which has some quality control issues because it's almost cut off. It's right there at the center hole. This is just a little bit of folding over here. It's not any real damage. If I've got a little bit of glue, and we could fix that up pretty good there. But anyways, Write a Letter, which off the same album, but not a song I'm familiar with. But I did know the other song. I just don't know their version of it. Didn't even know they did one. Next up, we've got a beautiful song by a beautiful lady, Linda Ronstadt, and Blue Bayou. And that one, again, another one of those artists that had a lot of great 70s work and lost their interest in them in the 80s. Linda Ronstadt in particular, she went and started doing songs in Spanish. She started singing in Spanish as opposed to English. So she made her fortunes and pursued what she wanted to do, and I respect her for that. But it wasn't my kind of music. So I love her 70s pop and light rock stuff, and that's what I will always know her and love her for. B-side of this is a song called Oh Paint, which isn't one that I'm particularly familiar with, but I love Blue Bayou. I was actually really thrilled to come across that in the box and know that I had a good, clean looking copy of that to be playing. Next up, we've got one of hers, again, that I'm not familiar with, Ooh Baby Baby. It's from her Living in the USA album, which I'm not positive, but I think that's the one that she had the roller skates on, and she was, on the front cover back in 1978. So I bet I would know this song. I would probably know this song if we put it on and gave it a listen. But just from the title, it doesn't ring a bell for me. And it's clearly marked as the A side. This one's clearly marked as the B. So Blowing Away, again, not a song that I'm familiar with from her. It says it's off of that same Living in the USA album, which was a big album for her. So while I might not know Blowing Away with it being a B-side, I did have and listen to that Living in the USA album. So if we went back and did a little walk down memory lane, I could very well know that song too. But Ooh Baby Baby is probably something I'd recognize because it probably got some airplay on the radio at the time. And I did listen to the radio quite a bit back in that day, back before disco came in and killed off our rock and roll station. We had a country station, a rock station, and a gospel station in the town that I grew up in. And when disco became popular, the rock station switched over to disco. And that was where I think a lot of the hatred for disco came from, actually. And it is definitely where I started buying and collecting a lot more music. Because if I wanted to hear it, I had to buy it. I had to own it, and I was really big. I did have albums in the beginning, but then I got into 8-tracks, and I was really big into it. I only have a couple of those now, and they sounded horrible, but back in the day, that was what we loved and what I went with. Daryl Hall and John Oates, you're a rich girl, and you've gone too far, but you know it don't matter anyway. Great song from Daryl Hall and John Oates. They did a lot of really great music together. The B-side of that being a song called London, Luck, and Love, which is not a song of theirs I'm familiar with. It says it's from the Bigger Than Both of Us album. So was Rich Girl. So, yeah, and yeah, Rich Girl, it's kind of a poppy 80s, maybe even borderline dance music, but I like it. It's a good song and I like it. Next up, we've got another good song by another beautiful woman, Carly Simon, Anticipation. Unfortunately, she allowed that to be licensed to do a commercial, so when I hear that song, I often think of the old Heinz ketchup commercial, and they're waiting for it to slide out of the bottle, maybe back before the Teflon days. But yeah, I do like this song, do know this song, but unfortunately, because it got sold out, I do associate it with something odd now. But here again, it's a spun gold. This is a re-release. It's got a B on there, so that was actually the B side. Interesting, because this one is clearly marked as the A side. So the song that I knew really well. Well, I know this one too. That's the way I've always heard it should be. Can't sing that one so much for you, but it's a ballady. That's the way I've always heard it. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I know the song. I'm just not capable of singing it at the moment. Anticipation, I knew a little better. But yeah, surprisingly, Anticipation was the B side. Like there again, it's a spun gold. It's a reissue. They put two A sides on a single platter to generate some more sales or fill a need in the jukebox market, who knows. Here's one we've shown a few times. I've got quite a few copies of this one. We've Only Just Begun by the Carpenters. If you're a fan of the channel and you've been watching these videos, you know I loved Carolyn Carpenter. She had an absolutely beautiful voice, and this was their earliest, biggest hit. It was originally a commercial for a bank, written by Paul Williams. Remember him from Smokey and the Bandit, the little guy? Loved Paul Williams. He was quite a character. Check out his Phantom of the Opera movie. It was recently re-released on Blu-ray, so you can get your hands on it now if you want to see his grand opus. But anyways, the B-side of this is All of My Life. Nothing particularly special about this. But we do have another Carpenters here coming up, but we've ran out of time for this episode, so you'll have to come back for episode 10 for that one. Have a wonderful day. Hope to see you again.